Bill King's with us, king of college football talk, hosts Nashville Sports Radio 6 to 9 Monday through Friday, and a great friend of the show. Bill, what's going on here on March the 3rd?
Hey, guys. Watching the crazy markets a little bit today, and got to see a bunch of – watched the Vandy boys play Georgia State, I guess it was, for 4 on ESPN+. They still were radically inconsistent with the radar gun, posting the speeds. And really, in this state, guys, Vanderbilt, of course, in basketball is not much to talk about. Tennessee is incredibly inconsistent. So that's about where we're at.
Yeah, speaking of those Vandy boys, I saw Keith Law in The Athletic put out a list of what he thinks the top prospects are for the upcoming Major League Baseball draft, and he had Jack Leiter as number 1. The top prospect available in the draft had Kumar Rocker number 3. So, what's the issue, though, with Vandy right now, if you say they've been a little consistent? Because certainly the starting pitching is there, but where are the inconsistencies so far?
Yeah, they got a lot of live arms behind them, too, in the pen, bunches of them. I'd say hitting. And maybe it's just you've played 5 games or whatever, and maybe they're just not in a flow. It's hard, guys, to replace. And I know that was not last year. We had the year cut short. But a J.J. Bleday and an Austin Martin. One was your leadoff hitter who was best in America, and the other one was the player of the year in America. And I don't think there's a player like that on the team right now, not from a hitting standpoint. They won't be as good in that department as that team that just won the national championship. And guys, I saw another ranking where Rocker was number 2, Leiter was number 3, and the number 1 guy is the shortstop in Dallas who's committed and signed to Vanderbilt. Now, I don't know if he'll end up there, but that kid is, at least for the moment, a Vandy boy until he gets his money.
Isn't that amazing? Hey,
yeah.
Give us a look from the outside of the state of Arkansas for someone that does pay attention to college baseball, because out of all the polls, 7 of 8 of them that people pay attention to have Arkansas number 1 right now. And there's a little debate as to, do you even want that right now? Does it mean anything right now? I just say, I don't know what it means very much. I just think it's really cool for as long as you can hold it.
Absolutely. Somebody on Twitter, you guys might have seen this, took the top 5, all the SEC schools, and it was the top 5 or whatever, and drew a circle. And it was from Fayetteville to Nashville to down in Mississippi to wherever. I don't remember it all, but it was a circle that was a very small circle in those areas, which contained the entire top 5.
Wow. That's an interest. You don't even need the Venn diagram. You just need a circle, and it's pretty easy to keep it all really close. Yeah, and Arkansas plays just about every one of those teams this year, too. Hey, last segment, Bill, we wished a happy birthday, 59th birthday to Herschel Walker. And I was going back and looking at the 3 seasons he played for Georgia, and they had an opportunity to win the national title all 3 years. He had that ridiculous freshman season. He was even better the next 2 years. Did Herschel Walker have the greatest career in college football history?
He's the best college football player ever, if that answers your question. No, I don't even think it's debatable. And now I'm biased because I saw it. I saw his first game. I saw the first time he walked onto a field. And I had been following him out of Wrightsville, Georgia, which was a single-A school. So he had a single-A running back in Georgia. I guess his senior year would have been the fall of 79. And he weighs 225, and he has elite sprinter speed. And he's a good football player. But everybody figured that single-A ball in Georgia, he's probably bigger than the lineman. And first half, he touches it a couple times. Not much happens. And then he exploded the second half. It was at Tennessee. And from then on, he was a superstar. I'll tell you how good he was. He got absolutely railroaded in 1980, his freshman year, because they just were not ever going to have a freshman to win the Heisman Trophy. George Rogers won it, the big back at South Carolina, who obviously was a fantastic player. But the player of the year, as a true freshman, led them to a national championship. Guys, that team the year before was 6-5. That's how good he was. Unbelievable.
And never been more of a workhorse in the SEC. Probably he still holds the record for most carries in a career. If I'm looking at these numbers correctly.
And back then, Georgia, very simple offensively. They had a quarterback who could throw it, Buck Ballou, who, by the way, is in this business, the talk radio business over in Georgia. But they just tossed it to him left and right. And they always had a good offensive line. They were always the junkyard dog term came from back then and prior because they played what was called a wide tackle 6 up front defensively. And they were never overly big, but they were just a bunch of junkyard dogs. And they were tough as nails on defense. So they had that, and they had Herschel, and all you had to do was feed Herschel. And it didn't matter. The other team could know the play. Pretty simple, 2 or 3 plays they'd run, and it didn't matter.
Bill King joining us here on Halftime. Bill, let's get into a little bit of some SEC football news that's been hitting the wire for the past few days. First off, I want to start with Eric Gilbert, the former LSU tight end, and for 4 weeks was a member of the Florida Gator football program, but now, Bill, back on the transfer market. What in your mind is going on with Eric Gilbert not being able to find a destination for him?
That kid's got some issues, and I don't want to be rude about him, but I think he's got some things he needs to work through, and I'm not sure what his academic situation was either. That's another item, but I don't think he knows what's going on right now, what he wants to do. You were at LSU. That's a heck of a choice, right? And they played him. It's not like he didn't get to play, and he's mad about it. He got plenty of reps. And he opted out, before the Florida game, towards the end. Then he jumps in the portal, doesn't say anything. Nobody says anything. Then he commits. He hadn't been to Florida. Well, he hadn't been on campus. He's not in school. He's not enrolled. And then you see the tweet where he's no longer committed or no longer heading there. I've heard JUCO guys. I have heard maybe he would join his former high school teammate Harrison Bailey, who's a freshman quarterback this last year at Tennessee. Maybe back home, he's from Marietta, so down the road a little bit to Athens. I couldn't tell you any more than that.
It's going to be interesting to see where this thing comes out. And then some other bit of transfer news. Big Cat Bryant, who was transferring from Auburn, was originally heading to Tennessee, but now, Bill, being reunited with Gus Malzahn and heading to Central Florida. He's the third former Auburn player that's heading to Central Florida. And, Bill, part of me wants to believe that this isn't going to be the last time we see a former Auburn player or a current Auburn player transfer out and head to UCF.
Yeah, that's probably a good estimation. And you know what was weird is I think he originally was headed to Tennessee because of Kevin Steele, and we know Kevin's no longer there and got $900K for about 2 weeks of sitting around doing nothing. But they hired Rodney Garner, who is Mr. Auburn and had been at Auburn for many, many years and played there. And up in Tennessee, I thought maybe because he is truly, guys, one of the ultimate players coaches. Players love him. And I thought maybe that would reconnect Big Cat Bryant, but it didn't. Yeah, UCF, they got a little momentum right now. They've got a really good quarterback. They've got a coach who I think is in a good situation.
Bill, last thing before we let you go, and speaking of momentum in recruiting, it looks like Mizzou has some momentum in recruiting quarterbacks with Elijah Drinkwitz. They dip into Georgia, come out with 4-star Sam Horn. Sounds like something you wouldn't have usually expected, but I guess QBs might want to play for Drinkwitz.
Okay, I got something for you there. Right before that announcement, I was talking to some people. His dad, ironically, David Horn, played at Tennessee, played tight end at Tennessee, and was a pretty good player. And I've been told, hey, Bill, I've got my kids at this school. This kid's all Tennessee, and his family is. And next thing I know, he's coming to Missouri. So it's a tale of two cities, right? Yep. Columbia, a much happier place. Rocky Top, still smoldering a little bit. Again, that was a legacy kid, so that one stung.
the place where quarterback careers have gone to die recently. Bill, appreciate you, man. As always, have a great week.
Thank you, guys.
You got it, Bill King from Nashville Sports Radar. A little scoop inside football recruiting. He's the guy that invented football recruiting sports talk.